evaluation where they tested one another. This was on slide. And then I thought they were also supposed to do the next section where we were talking about the ISTE page of the e-portfolio. Are you guys following me with that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm just saying, I assigned them, I thought they were supposed to do 2 and 3 of the ISTE page, and so unfortunately, my Monday class had to provide evidence and everything for portions 2 and 3 of the ISTE page.
But that's great, Orneal, because that takes off the stress later on in the semester when everything is due.
Right.
So they can refine those things. They can add more descriptions and really go into why is this piece of evidence fulfilling that standard for their learning and their development.
Right.
So don't don't pitch it as, oh, oops, I made a mistake.
No, I didn't. They even asked me, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes, I'm very sure." I was adamant, like. But I was more than anything, I was just kind of giving people a heads up. This is what I wanted to talk about, it kind of thing. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, because the point was to make them aware of that page, because it gets ignored. It's gotten ignored in the past.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So that's.
Hey Peter, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we introduced that in this week because we want to just give them a heads up that they need to do this. So it is good that they start doing this week. And I think most of them complete the tip 10 in class. So they should have enough time to work on that.
Yeah.
I actually think that is a good idea.
Yeah. And they've done enough stuff that's what I was adamant about. I'm like, well, they have plenty to fill in that I know they've done.
Right.
So that's what I was thinking. Anyway.
Okay. So anything else about week 10? Bless you.
Oh my god, bless you. I hate you.
Okay, so if we do not have
Hey.
What's that response? Really? What? I hate you.
No, I said thank you.
Oh, it sounded like I said I hate you.
let's talk about week 11.
You were out of it.
January to
I'm
Okay, so for week 11, it's about the so this is the whole new unit. So starting from this week, we'll address the unit of teachers' professional learning or their professional development. So so this week we focus on the personal learning networks, and they're going to build their personal learning networks, and also we'll talk about the open educational resources, and then link it to the ebook project. So the first thing is case analysis reflection survey. So the survey link is here. So if you want to take a look at those questions ahead, you can feel free to just test it. And after the ebook, so after talking about the PLN and open educational resources, we'll talk a little bit about their digital identity. So,
can you go to what the PLN is? That specifically for the teacher?
Yeah,
It's kinda like
the following
professional development.
whole this whole unit is only for specifically for teachers.
Okay.
So how those pre-service teachers can do their professional learning
Okay.
in order to help their teaching for students. Huh?
The screen went blue. You can bump something with your knee. Yeah.
Okay, so so previously we used this infographic to talk about how technology has been used in education settings, and also here we have some data from the report from last year talking about what principals usually expect the new coming teachers have, what kind of skills. But I also found this video is pretty useful because they are talking about why we need that all the teachers need to be connected, and this video includes all the teachers. It's more like their testimony. So I think this video could be a pretty good like opening video for students to watch.
How long is it?
It's like 4 minutes. It's a little bit long, but I think the content is pretty good.
So should they watch the whole video, or is there a part, like let's say you're running short on time, is there
So-
a part that's crucial?
Basically, if you don't want to watch the whole thing, because I think there are some description in the end of the video is pretty powerful or meaningful. Probably you can start from the middle of the video and then play it till the end. So if you don't want to spend too much time on this video, you can just start like from 3 minutes and then play it till the end. So you'll just play like for 1 or 1.5 minutes for this video. So this week will be pretty packed because we provide a lot of different resources for them. So probably you'll just shorten your lecture time and then let them do more exploration to find the examples or resources that are more beneficial to them specifically. So I think they already have the good understanding of what the PLN or OER is from the class prep activity. So here you don't really want to spend too much time on explaining what those are. So we'll just focus on providing more resources for them. So I think this is a concept that we need to give students. This is about aggregator or RSS feed reader. I think most of the students, they don't really understand like how they can subscribe to blogs or how they can follow all the information on the website. So that's why we would just recommend you to watch this RSS video. It would talk about how they can subscribe on teachers' blogs and how RSS feeds work. And then about the aggregator, we just talked about this is a really effective and efficient tool for teachers to use to save them a lot of time. And they can customize all the information they need by using either feed reader or aggregator. So aggregator is more than feed reader. So aggregator means you can include all your social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, and also following other blogs. But the feed readers are mainly subscribing the websites or the news. So for here, we suggest different approaches to engage their personal learning networks. So just tell your students they can start with any kinds of website or tools that they feel more comfortable with using, or if they already started using like Facebook or Twitter, just stay with whatever they have been doing. But they also feel free to use a new tool if they feel comfortable with it. So in the notes part, these are all the definitions for each different approaches. Like what is podcast, what are social networking sites. So here you just need to provide some examples, telling them these are different ways for you to engage in the online learning community. So after this slide, we provide different examples for each approach. So here they can just click on the resources that are more related to themselves or their subject area. So some of the links that are, they include a lot of different tools in a specific link. Like there's a link includes like top 50 blogs to follow or top 10 Twitter accounts for educators. So for those of links, you can just tell your students really click those links to explore more on the website. So after they had all, they went through all the links or examples, they will do their tip 11. So for the tip 11, I think you need to give them more flexibility to choose whatever platforms that they feel more comfortable to use. So they can use any kinds of social networking sites, or if they want to create an aggregator, they can use NetVibes or Fitly or Tumblr. They can use all the tools that we mentioned in previous slides. The main thing for this tip is to let them provide the information or have the interaction in their learning community. So they can choose to follow people on Twitter, or they can choose to post some questions that are related to education or related to their subject area on their professional learning networks. So for the grading or for the guidance that you need to provide is just tell your students choose one specific platform that you feel most comfortable with using, and then just start from there to look at what are the resources that you can get and what they can do on those platforms. So as long as they can show you what are the interactions that they have done on their personal learning networks, then that should be fine. And here we also provide some resources for them to follow the teachers' blogs or to look for different resources. So for the submission, they need to post it on ePortfolio teacher professional development page. So they need to have the title, hyperlink to their personal learning networks, and they need to have a screenshot of their PLN. So for the EST page, it can be put on the EST, the 5th category, that is about professional development. So you can recommend them to put it as the evidence on their EST page. So after that, we'll start talking about the open educational resources. And so you can put the focus on, I think this is pretty good video by Arne Duncan. He talked about why OERs is important in education, and also you can just focus more on the 4 R's. So how can a teacher reuse or remix the open educational resources in their teaching? So basically, again, it saves their time and they can use more like higher quality of resources that has been made by other teachers. So here are some benefits of using open educational resources in teaching and learning. And we also provided some platforms for them to look for the resources. So you can recommend them to look for the ebook content resources or any other ideas for their ebook to search online here. So these are all like free resources they can use in their ebooks. So I'm not sure like whether if you talked about this in week 10. If you did, you can just skip this. And we are going to ask them to put the Creative Commons license on their ebook on the cover page or the last page. We have the tutorial video made by the TTL staff. It's a really good video showing students how to do the Creative Commons. And also, other than looking for the resources on those OER platforms, they can also look for the resources here. Here we have the Getty images. It's a really good place to look for the images that are free to use. Also Google search, if you haven't talked about the advanced Google search, probably you can address this in this week.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with the ebooks, are they providing a full credit page or something along those lines to and they're gonna take you pretty much the same process they use for the digital stores?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put that at the end of the ebook.
Okay.
Peter has a question about the hands-on activity. If they don't have access to iBook Author, do I just send them out to the labs?
Huh?
So if they don't have a Mac computer or iBook Author during the hands-on activity, should he just be sending the people to work on it in this lab? I still haven't heard back from STC on whether or not they're going to install iBooks Author again.
The
What
hands-on
hands-on
activity
activity?
is the Rappler.
The hands-on activities Repler?
Yeah. It's not. But we have ebook workshops. If you want to provide the time for the students. So when you were talking about these, the OER parts, you can combine
he's
with.
creating a Creative Commons license for the ebook last page.
Oh, he's talking about that.
Are you talking about the Creative Commons license for the last page of the ebook? You can talk, I have the volume on.
Oh, yeah, on the hands-on activity, it says apply Creative Commons license to your ebook cover page, and,
This
if,
one?
you don't have access to do that,
Yeah.
then you can either, sign it as homework or what, we'll dig into the class, you got them out, but I still don't have the software on the laptop.
They don't have the software in the labs yet, STC hasn't gotten back to me.
This is something they can do that after they finish the whole book. They don't need to do that now.
Did you hear that? This is something they can do after they finish the entire book, they don't have to do it right now.
Or you can ask your ULA to do the demonstration first, and then put it as a requirement in the end of their project.
Okay?
Okay.
So I'm not sure like which stage that you are in for your ebook project for your class. Okay. So for the ebook project, you will based on your like current stage of your project in your class. So for my class, I just provide. I ask my students to finish the outline and look for some resources for this week. So they need to have the finished outline, and then they have some resources already. So for my class, I would just ask them to look for some more resources that we provided in this week, especially those open educational resources, and also readdress what are the requirements for the ebook project. and then you will just tell them what are our expectations by looking at the rubric. Did we change the rubric? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just you can just direct them to the W200 page for the rubric, or you can just click the link here. And then after that part, it's your choice. If you have more time, you can just leave some time for them to work on their ebook project. But if you don't really have time, you can just tell them to look for the resources that we provided this week, or just connect it back to their PLN. Try to ask other teachers how what are the content or the resources they can put in their ebook. So just for this week, the focus will be we provide you a lot of different resources, and then you need to reach out those resources that are more like which are more useful to you. So after that, we'll talk a little bit about the online digital identity, and also how they should provide they should protect their digital identity and their digital footprint. So we have several. We have the video here. We have some articles here or blogs talking about why this is an important topic, because this will really affect their future job hunting process. And
Are those resources for AIs who's going to teach this slide, or we are going to ask kids to read those resources?
you can just pick like one to show students. You can just play the video, or you can just select the article that you want them to read.
Peter says, for the record, employees asking for Facebook accounts is illegal, and we should let our students know this. There have been like one or two cases where somebody has gone against the business and lost, though.
They sometimes ask people to pull up their Facebook
Right.
and on their computer, so like people are logging in. And there's been more accounts of those, not give me your password, let me look you. But like, I mean, it's more common to say not only employers will ask to friend you, but your students will ask to friend you, or parents will ask to friend you. That's more of an issue nowadays than employers. So I think maybe tweak the presentation to say, well, not only job search, but also while you're on the job.
He's
Yeah.
typing something.
Just typing.
Yeah.
You can
This-
just talk. That'll be faster.
Yeah, you should just talk, it'll be faster.
Oh, so it's in most cases it's going to be illegal for employers to ask for that, because that violates the kind of questions they can ask in an interview. For example, in an interview, it's illegal in every state for the employer to ask you if you're married, or if you have kids, or if you're gay, or if you're not, whatever. And so if the employer asks them, they need to know that that's not legal. They're welcome to share if they want, and they won't get the job if they don't. But they do need to know that it's illegal. And also, it's illegal for them to say this to their students. About 7 times now.
Okay, so so in the following slides, we also talked about the ethical issues of using those social networking sites in education setting. So there, you can pull up the issues of using social networking sites to connect with parents or students. And here you can also just choose one or two examples for your students, or you can just go through like each examples here and then talked about one or two in your class. So here is the video talking about how you can just protect your Facebook privacy. And here we have the job aids for for students to change their privacy setting on the Facebook. So just tell them this is important, and
Can we see the privacy setting, because sometimes Facebook keeps changing its
I think Shuya
Interface.
has done the.
Was it
Maybe
I did it. It's on my
Megan.
computer at home. I keep forgetting to upload it. I don't know. Should I put it on my YouTube or W200 YouTube?
I linked it from W200 website.
Oh, that's an old one.
Okay, so probably you can update.
I haven't updated
because
one.
they change the
W200.
interface
Yeah.
all the time. So
Yeah.
So we can just we can also address this issue, saying the platforms or interface keep changing, but they just need to know at least how they can change the setting or how important it is in order to protect what they have done on the social networking
So
sites.
just tell them that the best thing to protect yourself is do not post anything that would make you get into trouble. So don't post like
Don't post anything you wouldn't want your grandma to see.
yeah.
So just tell them once they upload it, even they delete the picture or the post, it will still be kept on the server, or people can really still can search it. So don't put anything that they don't want to share with other people or put in public. So the hands-on activity for the digital identity is just let them examine their own digital online digital identity by using the Rappler. So this is a web-based tool for you to link to your own like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn accounts, or even I think Flickr accounts, and then they will analyze for all the data showed on your social networking sites, and they will give you a score. Like if you score higher than like 80 or 85, then it means it's pretty good. And then also they will show you at what part that is not a good like online image for you. If you have the words like drinking or not appropriate verbs or terms showed on your social networking sites, this tool will detect it for you, and then probably that's something that you need to be aware of.
Also with Rappler, if anybody in here hasn't used it yet, it also checks what people have said to you or tagged you
Yeah.
in, or if you retweet something, it'll look through those also. So I had somebody on my friends list at one point in time who decided to do this big long rant about marijuana. So my Rappler score was pretty low because she tagged me in the post for some stupid reason.
So this is the page. I
Oh,
think
I have one inappropriate content because I said who wants to join me for drinks.
yeah.
My
Yep.
Facebook.
So
You sure you
it
only got one?
it matters that who tagged you
Mhm.
in their post. So this is something that you can tell your students too.
Pretty funny.
And we recommend them to use Firefox to do this hands-on activity. Because sometimes you might wait for a few minutes to let the score show up. So if it keep not showing up, you can probably just ask your student to use another browser.
This is a great ULA demo too. If your ULA feel
Yeah.
comfortable, have them pre-scan it, because sometimes it takes like several minutes. You know, those are valuable time
Yeah.
takers. So they can always pre-scan it and then just have the results printed out. Post like maybe one inappropriate thing and then delete it just for the purpose of showing what it looks like so they didn't get anything.
And there are some graphs or data results they can show a student. So usually, if you don't mind, you can just use your own account to show your student, this is the score that I got. Just show them as an example that probably let them know what they should be doing and what they should not be doing on their social networking sites. And because last semester I just showed my Facebook and Twitter accounts, and somebody tagged me like drinking stuff, and I just show my students, okay, so this is the example that I'm not doing anything, but my friends, they tag me, but it would still affect your online identity or online image as
It's
a
so funny. It also
teacher.
does like a wordle, and one of the big words is wine.
Yeah, so
I'm surprised.
Wow.
if you have a pretty good online image, you can just link your accounts to the wrapper and then show your students, or ask your ULA to link their accounts.
Can I have students volunteer to
You
check
can.
the results?
Okay.
Yeah.
They
that
will
would be
be-
If they
We
don't
usually
mind.
share that in class. They just tell us like what the scores they got, and they were excited
Yeah.
to share with you. Like, yeah, I have a student like 60 something, really low. Yeah,
It's 80.
and he says because his friend says something like a bad words.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it judges you based on your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Just tell us we need to make a good friend.
So you can just after
Choose
they're
ones.
done, you can just ask
I'll be
generally what are their scores, and probably let them share what are the good images that they had, or what are some bad examples, if they don't mind sharing.
If you don't want to get their exact scores, you can be like, who had above a 90?
Yeah.
Who had above 80? Who had above or below
That's
whatever?
usually what I ask. So I think they like this activity, and it really related to themselves, and they will be more aware of what they can do or they cannot do in the future. Or you can just suggest them, if you want to have a personal account, they don't want to share in public, they can just create a specific educational account and just for educational use purpose. So it will be safer, not really mixed with their personal lives. Alright, so any question about week 11?
What was the tip for week 11 again?
PLN. They need to create their
Okay, right. In addition to that, we talked about REPL being a potential ULA demonstration. Are there any other ULA demonstration potentials? for
You
week
can
11?
ask them whether they want to do the demonstration for Creative Commons on the ebook,
We did that this week.
for the ebook.
Oh, we just told them. We just supposed to take a screenshot of it, right? Yeah. So I mean, and that's what I told them on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what you have done
Okay.
in your class, but basically you can just tell them to use the Rappler. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So, because Peter didn't have enough time to prepare week 12, so we will just use the one that we had from the spring, and then we talked about that together and we modified it together. So, let me change this here. This week is online learning, and in the past, for the first part of the class, we will usually do that online. So you will be in the TTL and use the laptop and connect to Adobe Connect, and then your kids will be in the classroom, and then your UOA will tell them like you can create an accident or just say that you have some emergency, so you will not be in the classroom, but it's just like a prank. So, for this week, I would say the most important thing is you need to get familiar with Adobe Connect, that platform. You need to know where you are going to find the poll, you are going to do the like share screen, do the whiteboarding, something like that. So you need to make sure that you get familiar with that software. And I don't know why this is here. So we will talk about online learning, and then do a tip is ask kids to use Edmodo to explore the create online course there and use the resources they found from the class tribe. And then in my summer class, I actually use them to ask them to use the course they created and create a short screencast, like pretending they are teaching the online course. So, beginning from the slide 5, 6 until 12, that would be you will be teach online, but you can extend that to the later part. It's actually based on your preference. I usually talked until this part. So before having the discussion about the benefit of online and offline class, I would do the whole thing online. And then when we are having a conversation, I will go back to a classroom and have the face-to-face discussion. So let's go back. And so this is the part that you are introducing the features on the environment, the Adobe Connect. So you introduce there are a couple of tools that can use to teach online, and one of the tools that we are using is called Adobe Connect, which is not free, but for IU IU students, you have accounts that you can create one. And talked about this metric is comparing the different online the tool that you can use to teach online. So it depends on how many students that you have. If you have like a bigger class, you will not be able to use like this Skype because it's up to 25 people, something like that. So kind of quickly walk through this metric. Talked about you make decision based on your classroom settings, based on how many students you have, based on your needs. Then you pick the right tool. And then you start to, so now I get it. So I think Peter wants to change to use Google Hangout instead of using Adobe Connect.
Yep.
Is
I
that
took
right?
the notes from last semester's site.
Okay, so are you guys want to try to do Google Hangout?
Do we have the problem installed or?
They can install that in their computer just before the
more
class.
than 10 people in the hangout. Is there like an additional feature?
I don't know. Did Peter test if we can use Google Hangout for like a whole class?
Peter?
Yes. Yes, Megan?
No, we're on week 12. We're going over last semester's slides until
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna find that.
Where is the?
It's the on course
Slide.
before semester. Weekly PowerPoint, and there is a spring version.
And then the other question was, have you tested Google Hangouts to make sure you can get enough people in it?
Yeah, I was in a Google Hangout with 33 people the other day. It works, just not well.
Not well.
Not well in what way?
The feed is slow and kind of poor audio quality.
So I would say we just stick on Adobe Connect because that's more stable.
Did you hear that?
No,
We should stick to the Adobe Connect because it's more stable with large numbers of people.
sounds good to me.
But usually in the schools, what do they usually use, the teachers? Because they have to use what they have, right?
Yeah.
Is it
Google
usually
Hangout a lot.
hang out a lot?
For teaching online?
Well, sometimes their learning management system has a broadcasting,
Has,
like Blackboard has
yeah.
Illuminate, and
Now
Canvas
they
has
don't use
its own
Illuminate anymore.
features.
No.
Now Blackboard doesn't use Illuminate anymore.
It has
They've
its
done a-
own whatever
They have done a
video conferencing thing, right?
They've changed Illuminate to something else. It's the same thing but a different name
Yeah,
now.
And like Canvas has collaborations or conferences.
Because
So
it would be better to use one of those tools that they will use, right, in the
Mhm.
future.
But it really depends.
Really depends, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying what's
Depends
the
on
most
like
popular?
school.
Yeah.
If it's elementary, I think a lot of teachers use Google
Hang on.
What about the video for your staff?
Not really.
I still think we should go with Adobe Connect because the key point is to demonstrate online conferencing with a large group. As long as we're like kind of providing that kind of foundation, they can find tools. That's what I'm always talking about. This is just an example. I want you guys to go out and find others related to this that are applicable to you and
Yeah.
do that kind of thing. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's how I would phrase it.
Right.
that's
And the
less
tool
work.
that we are using now, maybe when they become a teacher, is no longer exists.
Mhm.
So the point is just to know what it looks like to teach online, to learn online. So the tool really doesn't matter. So I would say we stick in using Adobe Connect because we're more familiar with that platform, and we are pretty sure there's no issue with the bigger classroom.
is the sound issue fixed, or do we have to then get headphones for everybody?
Do you have the updated?
What?
Is the sound issue?
Because there was this issue with the speakers in the classroom.
Oh, it's fixed.
It's fixed?
Mhm.
Okay.
Also the
How does that thing work?
should be online.
You can do individual
Also
headphones,
the
So that
or
was,
job
yeah, that's
for
line.
the
good.
Facebook.
you could just project it out.
I have a screencast. It's on my computer at home because I
Oh,
better
okay.
But
record.
also be logged in.
I just keep
So
forgetting
there
to
was
upload it to
2 meetings
YouTube.
when I did it.
Because my boyfriend's had my computer all week for
We
his
just need to send
project.
Adobe
Like the mic
Connect
front of the
whole
room.
to the staff so they can join the
It's
video.
screencast.
Yeah. So you need to create
Right.
So
a classroom
do I need to send
on
the
Adobe
the
Connect.
like that?
And do you guys know how to do that?
So,
Yeah, slides?
so
I mean, I'll get them today anyway.
How to create a class
Because I
in
gotta
Adobe Connect.
I still have my
Okay,
account,
so I was thinking.
So if you are not familiar with that, ask your mentor to show you how to create one. So you can, you will add the link to the PowerPoint, so kids know where to get into the
It's
class.
gonna be later tonight. because-
Like
Oh,
what
just
I
put
did.
it in the PowerPoint?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I
so
did
it's done
for
by
the
Monday.
meeting, remember?
Yeah,
I
it'll be
sent
done
you a
by
link
Sunday
and
at
tell
the
you we
very,
are
very
going to
latest.
meet online.
Right.
That's how
Yeah.
you are going to do for your kids.
Because I was thinking, do I need to like send out the link a day before the
No, they are going to the class.
otherwise- Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
So don't let them know they are going to have an online class. Otherwise, they will not be in the class.
yeah.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
I was thinking.
That makes sense.
And then you will use this infographic, share this infographic with your kids. They will explore it, and then you can have an online conversation about what it looks like a digital classroom, something like that. And this is a poll. We show them how to use the poll features on the Adobe Connect. So you will create. You don't need to create all the questions, but you can pick one or two to ask them what's your previous experience of doing online learning, something like that, and then you show them how to do the poll there and how to find the result, and then you have a discussion. And as I mentioned before, this is a time that you can ask kids to leave the online environment and then you go back to the classroom, or you can extend that until the conversation about the advantage and disadvantage. And this slide tells you gives you 2 examples. I think there are some recommendations, but it's a long time ago. I think they are showing why some people are doing online learning. So the rationale of taking courses online. Why? Then they will talk about like some people are having special needs and some people are working, blah blah blah. They have a lot of reasons. So you can make sure you watch the video before you teach, and then you can select which one that you want to play in the classroom. I think this week we have a lot of video, and you don't want to just keep playing video in the classroom, so you need to make some decisions in terms of what video that you're going to play. And Indiana University High School actually have an online school, the high school, so you can kind of talk about it. But we just use this as an example to show them, oh, in Indiana University we have this too. And this is the resources for like the examples of online learning environments. Khan Economy, a lot of us maybe are using this for learning something. I'm using this for learning stats now. And this video shows the family will be involved while younger kids are doing online learning. This video, so you can talk about is also about why some people are doing online learning. And this is how it looks like if you are a teacher who is teaching online. So this is the teacher talked about how teaching online changed her life, like he had more time to interact with her family, and she can wear pajama and teaching, something like that. And then this is the resources from Dr. Bang. He talked about a lot of different strategies that if you are going to teach online, what kind of strategy that you can help kids do collaboration, to get to provide good feedback. So there's a lot of resources, and this is a great resources to asking your kids to explore one or two strategies, and then you share with each other, like what kind of strategies could be beneficial for teachers who are going to teach online. And I would add a symbol mark here to ask the kids to bookmark this, just in case in the future if they want to teach online, this is a good resources. And then we talked about virtual field trips. This is a part of online learning. They are not physically explore the trip. They do this virtually, so that's why we put this on the online learning week. And you can talk about Go North. That's a really cool project that I assume everybody knows that.
It's like a team of researchers in Minnesota.
Okay.
They've done this whole adventure learning research. So they go in and make. I'm saying so it's like they travel like all the way to like the Eskimos on there, and then they have. They track their adventure and they put it online, and it's
And
like
then
one
kids
of
can
them.
post the questions and can Skype with the scientist who is working
Yeah.
Scientists.
somewhere. Yeah.
There's also the scientists in space that
Oh, yeah.
the science classroom like mini demos, and they will Skype into your classroom. That might also be a great YouTube example to include.
Yeah. And these are more examples. And then this is talking about like what's that? Oh, it's like more like a simulation, like still an online learning environment. And then you can talk about what we usually do is you can do that on a smart board or a whiteboard. Like that part is the offline learning and that part is online learning, and then you ask kids to brainstorm like what do you think the benefit of doing class online, and then you write it down, what is the benefit of doing that offline, and then you can kind of compare how the online learning can compensate the disadvantage of doing face-to-face class, something like that. And what is this? Oh, that's the no idea what is this. Does Peter remember what is this part?
Talking's faster than typing, Peter.
Okay, first, I don't even know that I'm looking at the same thing we're looking at.
It's a hands-on activity.
Did you get the, where did you get this PowerPoint? Did you get it from the PTL account last semester, week 12?
No, it was the one from Encourse.
It's the one that he updated in this summer.
It's the one you updated.
That one I didn't update it. I mistakenly thought I was doing Janet's week, so I did it her week. And I didn't do any updates this year, looking at last year, so I don't even know what's
check
on.
the links then.
But we didn't teach this last semester.
So we're in Encourse
Right.
access.
It's you go to Encourse and you go to
F500
F500 and then you go to resources and then
before a semester.
F500 for this
Can you
semester.
click on the
yes.
website?
And then you go to the before semester. And then hang on,
Weekly PowerPoint.
weekly PowerPoint. And there should be one in there that says 24 minutes.
Session 5.
No activity. I need activity.
How many jumping jacks? 10.
Okay, so I think this is a hands-on activity that you ask the students to explore different tools and then bookmark that to, in the past is Digo and this semester is Simblue, but I don't know, personally I think this doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so what are we looking at now?
Spring 2014, week 12, on slide number 23 to 25.
Okay, yeah, like I said earlier, I had not made any updates to this. And I was planning on
Don't talk about anything other than W200 now.
When you're figuring this out,
I'm sorry, we missed what you said.
I haven't looked at this since our first semester meeting, and as I said before, there was miscommunication and I redid the legal diagram and then realized that Janet had it. So I don't know what this is even.
You can just delete that.
I will check out this hands-on activity because it doesn't make any sense to me, so let's just don't do that. And then we will do tip 12. In the past, we ask the kids to explore we separate them into two groups. One group explore a course site and the other group explore Edmodo. But in this semester, we just focus on one tool. All kids are exploring Edmodo. And then
What's the rationale for not exploring course sites?
what is the rationale to do course sites?
Well, I mean, it's a well-structured sort of thing. And one issue we ran into with Edmodo was they had to make each individual news feed link public, and then they had to make their course public. Otherwise, we couldn't see that they had completed all of the steps. Whereas in course sites, if you make your course public, then every content is made public.
But we are going to ask them to create the screencast, so we will be able to see what they have done in the app model. I don't know, Janet, did you do your students like course sites? Because my students, they hate course sites, so that's why we come up with the idea that we should take off the course sites.
I just think structurally, course sites is a better learning management system. I know Edmodo is generally used in K-12, but I'm just talking broad spectrum across all education levels.
We can introduce
My students
that.
didn't have a preference the past year, because like, well, they both have their issues. It depends on what my school's requiring me to use.
Mhm.
I think we can still introduce that, and then I guess they can just explore which platform that they feel more comfortable with.
So we will still ask them to do both.
Not both, but they can have the option.
Okay.
But just tell them the most common used tool is the Edmodo in K-12 setting, but there are still some other option they can use if they want. Or you can just leave the options to the AI whether they are going to introduce it or not.
In that case, you can also ask them to do Canvas.
So there was a recent study put out in June, and it's not Edmodo, it's actually Moodle is the most used K-12 learning management system. So if we want to go that way, maybe we should teach Moodle. Moodle. Yeah.
Like moving with the
Oh yeah, big fucking explanation.
That's exactly how it works.
Do we want to do
I
Moodle?
don't know how to spell it.
Do we want to do Moodle?
If put it there.
If we are going to do that, we need to ask TTL to create a job aid.
I think we talked about that anyway this week, right, in class, about Moodle. I'm saying I alluded to Moodle being used a lot.
I actually moved to
TTL quiz.
Edmodo.
Oh, to Edmodo. I said Moodle was used.
We can say Moodle and Edmodo are the most common used learning management system in K-12.
Okay, so I will let you decide which one they're going to use, but it is impossible for an AI to know all of the tools, so you will decide which one that you're going to use. Okay?
I
Peter
think
will
we
do the job and give us a report.
What?
Let's have Peter do the job. Explore the 4 different tools and then give us a report which one is better.
Okay, and then I will leave this here. So these are the tasks that the kids need to do. And then I will add a slide to ask them to create a short screencast. And then they will submit that screencast instead of the screen capture because
So this slide, Yahweh, I think all of us will just need to go and double check all the links, right?
Yep.
And the dates and the drama, everything.
yeah, or you can modify that after my Monday class. Use my version so you don't need to
double check.
yeah.
is Peter going to revise this? Because we still have one more week.
Peter will help us check the links. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay. And we will have more time. This is since we took off the hands-on activity, so probably we have more time. So you can ask your kids to work on their EST page.
Well, mine have already done 2 and 3 by then.
They can keep working on the rest of evidence.
You still have one.
And then you can tell your kids they are ahead.
Exactly, yeah, to make them feel proud.
And this is a week I'm not sure if you did the e-portfolio and teacher website checklist, the peer review yet. If not, you can do that in this week. But this week you will do like teacher website only, and then you do the e-portfolio next week. So what we did is we usually print out the checklist and then we bring it to the classroom and then we ask the kids to switch the seats to check to do the peer review for each other. Yeah, that's the updated one. I checked that.
On the website?
Mm-hmm.
Updated one what?
E-portfolio and teacher website
Oh, yeah.
checklist.
For the ebook workshop, really quickly, remind the students they need to either save their work to Box or bring a flash drive, and not to save things to the Mac desktop. It will get deleted.
Ask them to save to their box. Okay, so this is the part we talked about is T standard, and then talked about their website again, and talked about to decorate to make their website more personal, more unique. And that's it for, so I think you can also add a time for ebook workshop. So any questions?
Again, is there a ULA demo that you would suggest for week 12?
Good question. Let me check. I can do the demo for the tool that you pick for the tip.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like at Moodle or course site.
That's reasonable.
And you can ask them to do I don't know if you give your UA some chance to do a mini lecture. They should you should give them some chance to practice to do a mini lecture. So you can ask them to lead the discussion, the advantage and disadvantage of that one.
How long should it be?
Do what?
Mini
This
lecture?
one? Or their mini lecture?
Mini lecture.
It's actually up to you. I will usually ask them to kind of talk about specific one or two slides or lead a discussion. They in the whole semester you should provide 2 to 3 chances that they can do this kind of lecture. Yeah.
If it is part of the demonstration, does it count? Or it has to be the content?
It should be the content, like they talk, they teach, yeah, not just demo.
Each UOA should have 3 to 4
2 to 3,
2 to 3 chances for mini lecture.
right? Because you don't want them just know how to do demo,
Yeah, I usually make them facilitate some discussions.
right?
Let them see how it feels. Oh, wait. Provide them an opportunity to learn.
So week 12 is pretty simple. Just make sure that you are familiar with Adobe Connect. Then you will be totally fine. Any questions?
No.
If we don't have any questions, I would assume that I will not receive any questions before this meeting. If you have any question, you should ask now. After this meeting, you should ask now.
In regards to both weeks?
Yeah. We will not have a meeting next Friday. So when you are teaching week 12, you probably will lose some memory. So make sure that you're fresh and ask a question before you teach. Not right before you teach. You should ask the questions like, so you will not be so nervous when you teach. Okay? Okay. We're done with, I will upload this. Can Peter kind of modify check the list to see if the link are still working? And I will upload this to our folder, the
Peter?
weekly PowerPoint.
Peter?
Is
Yes.
it still here?
Can you go through week 12 and make sure everything, like, links wise is updated and working? Okay. And then Janet's gonna send me week 11.